Another episode of Pokemon Knowledge. Now, I actually really did have a good video topic in mind, and I still kept the title of the video I was going to do, and I was going to make a whole video just talking about how right now the entire Pokemon hobby, it's kind of just in a nice copacetic area, meaning there's not really too much to talk about. A lot of people are excited about the new set that came out, which is Paldean Fates. I really recently put up a poll about a day and a half ago, just asking people's feelings. I was like, oh, I think that would be a good video topic, and I said, is Paldean Fates investable? And I didn't say if it was investable. I didn't say if it wasn't. I just put out the question there, and just the question to ask, is something investable in Pokemon? That alone was enough to just invoke anger in people. Like, people just hate any time you talk about things not being collectible as being investable, but I didn't put my opinions into it. I just put a question. I put four options. Yes, buy it now. No, wait 2 years. Wait to buy the 4 years. And then I said Shining Fates 2.0, and then the last option was never. And I have never seen a poll so evenly divided. There was 500 total votes. Yes, buy it now for Paldean Fates was 14%. Wait 1 to 2 years came in at 26%. Wait to buy 2 to 4 years, 11%. The number one was Shining Fates 2.0 at 32%. And what I think Shining Fates 2.0 means is that this set is just going to get printed into oblivion, and that it'll be readily available for a long time. The same way as we saw Shining Fates. Shining Fates right at release, make no mistake about it, that was $120, $130 ETB until eventually Pokemon really showed, hey, you guys want us to print a lot of product? Here, hold my beer. I'll show you how we print a lot of product. Still to this day, you could probably go on PokemonCenter.com as of recording this video, and there's probably still Shining Fates available at MSRP at PokemonCenter.com that hasn't sold out. And then the last option, never, 17%. So I thought it was a good breakdown, and that's what I wanted to make today's video on. But old friend Mr. Rattle Pokemon put out a pretty interesting video today. So I'm not going to give away much of that video, and I'm going to let Rattle tell the story. I think he tells it a lot better. And if you guys are not familiar, I'll give you a real quick rundown. It's the first time, to my knowledge, that somebody has now who's making Pokemon content has ever officially been sued before. And Rattle made a great video today talking about it. He's gonna fight it. I know Rattle, and Rattle's gonna fight it. I know he's doing the GoFundMe to help his legal fees. I think he's looking at probably $100,000, and I donated to his GoFundMe before it got taken down, and hopefully it's back up. But Rattle, good luck, buddy, because I think if there are counter sues and stuff, and I don't know how much all this is gonna take and what a discovery process will be like, because I want to say if you do a discovery process for legal lawsuits, I know what Rattle got was a slap lawsuit, so it's more or less a be quiet or else type of lawsuit. But this is the thing, I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret that's kind of doesn't have to be a secret anymore, is I knew about that lawsuit before Rattle made his video. And Rattle's been talking to lawyers. Don't worry, Rattle's lawyered up. My man is prepared for this. So the fact that Rattle is prepared, and the fact that he's been lawyering up now for a lot of people were watching that video, and I think people were like, oh, you shouldn't be responding to this video. Oh, no. He's lawyered up. Believe you me, Rattle's ready to go to war. He's in Canada. The person that's suing him's in the United States. I don't know how that's going to work out. I'm not an expert. It might be good to just bring on my old friend ALI, Mile High Pokemon, and just ask him what the legal battle would be for something like this, because he could actually, I mean, he went to Yale for law school. I'm pretty sure he would be able, if there's anybody in this Pokemon hobby that could really understand like the legal battles, it would be him above all others. And Mile High Pokemon just such a awesome dude. But it'll be fascinating to watch this play out. And it's to think Rattle's like some big name now. He's got a lawsuit against him. He puts him with the names of John Dillinger and Bonnie and Clyde and Al Capone and Bernie Madoff and we'll say Charles Ponzi and the Hamburglar and all the other villains of history. Was the Hamburglar not a good one? But now we got Rattle Pokemon because he's being sued. But when I watched that video today, I was I really try. I usually watch all Rattle's videos 2x, but I watch everybody's videos on 2x. To be honest with you, there's probably most of the people watching this video today are watching me on 2x, and I think I used to talk really slow. I think my speed that I'm talking like has picked up a little bit, but I had to slow down his video because I had to like absorb everything that was said. There were some real interesting things that were said. I think the weirdest thing that struck me out of that whole lawsuit was that the guy thought Rattle called him the Pokejew, but we know who the Pokejew was. Like with the whole Logan Paul fake booster box case, he was in the room. We were duped. Agreed? Agreed. Like the famous meme of we were all duped. Agreed? Like, and then the whole issue that went on with like the Pokejew and them to then pretend like Rattle was doing like some anti-Semitic mark by calling him the Pokejew, which just, I mean, that's about as far as a stretch that I saw in that. I mean, we know who the Pokejew is, and it's not a name somebody gave him derogatorily. That the Pokejew, Michael, gave himself that name, and he wears it with like a badge of pride, like he enjoys his name in the hobby. Nothing wrong with that. Like it was such a weird take in a lawsuit. Like I don't know. I read a lot of that stuff and I was just like, and then I don't know if what they call, so like the Rattle Discord. A lot of people out there are probably in the Rattle Discord. In fact, I don't think I have a link for the Rattle Discord in the description of this video, but I'm definitely gonna have to add it. But it was almost like the Rattle Discord is now like this in a way. I forget that. I don't quote me on the exact word, and like you have to go back and watch Rattle's video to get the exact wording. But it's like everybody in the Rattle Discord. I want to say it was a crime syndicate, but I don't feel like it was the word syndicate. It was like criminal, maybe criminal enterprise or criminal something. Like, can you imagine? There's like 3,000 plus people in the Rattle Discord, and they're somehow part of like a criminal syndicate or part of like a criminal enterprise just because they're part of that Rattle Discord. I thought that was a little bit of a stretch. It's very interesting how like the legal jargon could go to portray things in certain lights. But no, Rattle's gonna go to battle on this one, and it's gonna be fascinating to see this play out because I don't know if you guys follow. Carl Jobs has been going against. Oh my God, what's his name? Can't even think of his name. The guy from King of Kong. Mitchell. What the hell's his name? Mitchell. Somebody let me know down in the chat. But the guy Mitchell, he was like called himself like the video game player of the century, and then like Carl Jobs, the guy that was one of the people that helped to expose like the video game grading scandals, a lot of that stuff that happened on. But he got sued. Oh, Billy Mitchell, that's his name. Billy Mitchell from the King of Kongs, like the movie documentary. If you haven't watched it, great documentary too, by the way. Came out when I was in college. I remember watching it like sophomore, junior year of college, so that had to have been like 14 years ago that video came out. But it's an interesting documentary. But like one of the call him protagonists in that movie is the guy Billy Mitchell, because a lot of his records got broken for Donkey Kong by this new guy, and then they like questioned a lot of the ways he did it, and then Billy Mitchell potentially like cheated, and then there was like all these lawsuits that happened with Twin Galaxies. Twin Galaxies is this like super famous arcade from the Midwest, but they weren't just an arcade, they were also kind of like in a way like the keepers of a lot of video game records. The same way as you have like Guinness Book of World Records is the record keeper for pretty much everything in known existence. Now Twin Galaxies just did like video game records. So there was a lot of like arguments that went back and forth, and then Carl Jobs accused Billy Mitchell of some stuff, and then there was like this huge lawsuit that's been playing out now, and the parties involved have paid like hundreds of thousands of dollars. But now, while I'm not really like into that world of that, arcade video game style, call it drama or whatever is going on between those two, I'm not involved in that at all. It's been fun to watch, like, just in a way passively, like as a spectator to what's been going on. And now we're going to kind of, in our way, we're going to get that play out in Pokemon. And it's going to be fascinating. I'm going to tune in for every single video. I hope Rattle takes on sponsors and stuff, things that Rattle usually stays away from. I hope for any time he makes these videos and stuff, Rattle takes on sponsors. Like, Rattle, if you're out there, buddy, I'll sponsor one of your videos. You could just, this video is sponsored by PK, and you could just talk about, man, like, what he's going to be going through and, like, the discovery process. And, one thing I got to say about Rattle is my man's got a ton of integrity. So if the things that is saying, I think he believes everything he's saying, or all the information that he portrays, or all the information that like comes to him at the time. I think everything he portrays at the time is as factually true as he can get to that point. And I think it would be interesting if those two could ever just sit down and like have conversations, and all the questions that Rattle had, he could actually get answered. But yeah, the description to that video that Rattle posted today is in the description of this video. Like, I highly, highly, highly recommend you guys going, clicking on that video and watching it, because I think this is going to be something that's now going to play out on a scale that we've never seen, at least in this area of the hobby. And, I think Rattle's right in all this, at least based off of the information that he's provided. I don't have like a leg in the fight or anything, but based on the information provided, it seems like Rattle's correct, and that everything he says he believes. And because Rattle believes it, I guess in a way, like, I inherently believe what Rattle says because of the way he's portrayed that information. And until we hear that other side of the conversation, like, it's really tough to have any other information if that other guy's not stepping up and explaining his side of it. But man, I'm having trouble, like, usually I'm not at a loss for words, but I'm having a trouble, like, explaining how crazy this is going to be for the next couple months. And there's a part of me I think that there were so many points along the line of this whole lawsuit and everything that's going to be playing out, like, before our eyes for the next couple months and maybe a year or whatever. There were so many opportunities where I feel like this could have just kind of like ended and been brushed under the rug. You think about like how many videos has Rattle made talking about different scammers through different videos, or people that have, maybe not scammers, but people that have like done questionable things in the hobby. And I mean, there's so many countless videos of those, and how many, like, in a way, like, unknown people are in those videos. Like, very, very few people can go back and name every single person that has been in a Rattle video, because there's sadly just too many scammers in this hobby. You can't even keep track of them. But I feel like all the information going on right now in Rattle's most recent video, like, that is now a name that is going to live on in this hobby. And unless he could clear his name some ways, like, I feel like that could be very damning to people's reputations in the hobby. And I would like to see how this plays out, because, I guess if you think about it, like, what is the fundamental goal of a lawsuit? I would say if a lawsuit is taken, like, with any sort of, like, reasonality, it would be because you want to, like, find out the truth, right? Or I guess you can make the argument that you could take out a lawsuit because you don't want the truth and you just want to shut up somebody. But I think it's another thing when you try to do that and the other person isn't going to back down. And I don't think we're going to see Rattle back down on this one. I think he's already preparing. It's, I guess with lawsuits, sometimes it's fight or flight. And I think Rattle's ready to fight. So if you guys haven't had an opportunity, I know they took down the Kickstarter. I backed the Kickstarter. I was like one of the biggest donors to it, and I think along the way it's gonna make good content. I'll give you that much. No matter what happens from this, the content that comes out of this, the same way as we saw all that Carl Jobs and Billy Mitchell content came out, it's gonna be our version of Pokemon. And the crazy thing is this, where I told you I thought a lot of this would have probably just died off, like the hype, or I guess it's not even hype. It's just like the arguing that went back and forth between the two of them. I feel like it would have kind of like, if it never died, it would always just have been completely isolated to our little teeny corner of the hobby, because Pokemon as a whole isn't like the biggest thing on YouTube. And then to talk about like the drama sphere of Pokemon content is a much smaller sphere. I mean, while Rattle is still a bigger content creator in that sense, he's got 25,000 plus subscribers. And then I saw Possum made a video talking about it. I made a video talking about it. I'm less than 10,000. But I mean, you combine all our subscribers, we don't even hit 50,000. But I'm gonna tell you right now, and you heard it here first, there will be people picking up this story now, and they will be spinning this for their narratives, and because this is going to be exciting for people the same way as that Billy Mitchell and Carl Jobs stuff is. And the reason why I learned about like the Carl Jobs Billy Mitchell stuff wasn't because of the Carl Jobs YouTube page. It was because Moist Critical picked it up. And because Moist Critical picked it up, and then he started making videos talking about it, it gained tractions with, hundreds of thousands and millions of people ended up discovering that story because of him. And mark my words, you heard it here first. This whole thing will get picked up by bigger YouTube creators, because I think people will eventually latch on to this. Professor Oak, appreciate you being a member for 1 month. But, dude, I'm telling you right now, this isn't the end of it. This is just the beginning. And our little area of YouTube, that we are the first ones to know about this, it's going to explode. Now, to say, like, Moist Critical is going to pick it up, I mean, my initial reaction to something like that is, no, probably not. But then when you stop to think about it and you go, well, what's the type of content he makes? He makes a lot of video game content. But, like, what is the thing he's very passionate about? He's very passionate about Pokemon. He's very passionate about Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, he has Pokemon cards in his background of every one of his streams. Like, there is a chance he picks it up. I mean, I've been watching some of his videos recently, and he's been picking up talking about, like, cringy, weird text messages between people on dates and stuff. Like, the fact that he could talk about Rattle Pokemon, the guy that, exposed the fake Logan Paul, 2 million plus dollar first edition cases being fake, like that same Rattle Pokemon. It's a very easy narrative now that these bigger YouTubers are going to be able to spin. And people say they don't like drama in Pokemon. You haven't seen drama. There's drama that exists on YouTube, and the drama that exists on YouTube is in the million view count type drama. And I think that this video, or this kind of information, has all the makings of that. It's going to be wild, and you're going to sit here, and I'm telling you right now, you heard it here first, this is going to spread like wildfires. This is going to be one of the biggest stories to ever come out of Pokemon. And the sad part of it all, too, is it's going to be one of the biggest stories that ever come out of our hobby, because it's going to get mainstream, like, attention. But it's sad, too, because in a way it puts a black eye on the hobby, too. Like, you don't want to see people, like, go to this length of like suing each other and doing the whole drawn out, getting lawyers involved in court battles and all that stuff. And I don't know who wins truly in the end. I guess like we as the hobby, I guess, are the ones that would in theory win, because if you believe in like the discovery process and you believe in like what Rattle's doing, Rattle, the pretty much one of the goals of his channel is to expose the scammers and to expose the people that he believes are, doing injustices for this hobby, or people potentially taking advantage of this hobby and all the nuances that come with something like that. And I guess in the way, it's us that wins if Rattle's able to, fight this and be successful and drag this on. And we're gonna all get like a crash course in like the legal aspects of YouTube content creating too, which is something I didn't think we would see in our little small niche of this hobby. I didn't think we'd see it, but then we're gonna get like crash courses on like inter-country legal lawsuits. I can't even imagine. Like, I don't even know enough about the law to sue somebody. Like, I don't even know how I would go about suing my neighbor if I wanted to. My neighbor lives right next door. Let alone what I would have to do to sue somebody in another country for like a defamation lawsuit. Can't even. I mean, you're talking different sets of laws, different. I mean, the logistics behind that, it's gotta be wild. I hope that there's some more lawyers in this like Pokemon section that could like really like break it down for us. Like how hard, like how do you sue somebody that lives in a different country over defamation? That's got to be just the most daunting lawsuit ever. And it'd be fascinating. Can't wait for it to play out. But yeah, I told you I didn't think this was going to be a long live. I'm only gone 22 minutes. I'm going to go scroll to the top of the chat. I want to see what the people think about this. Pokey Steve says he appreciated the thumbnail. Yeah, I didn't. I made the thumbnail before I really knew what I was going to talk about. I was just like, oh, Rattle, got to throw him up on a, most wanted poster. Pokey Chef, good to see you, bud. Pokey Kid, good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, oh yeah, that's the thing too. So Rattle's GoFundMe got took down, but I think it's just a temporary thing. In the Rattle Discord, I guess the way Rattle explained it was he had mentioned the name of the person that's suing Rattle. He like put his name in the GoFundMe, and that was potentially what took it down. But it could just be a temporary thing. Now it has to go to like a manual review by the GoFundMe like admins or whatever. So it could potentially take like 24 to 48 hours. But once it's back up, like I'll post a link for it in this video if you're watching this after the fact. So if you see the link in this video, that means the GoFundMe's back up. But if you don't see it, it means it's not. But otherwise, just go to the Rattle Discord. But be careful, if you go to the Rattle Discord, you are now part of like, I guess the Rattle crime family. Can we use the word family? Is that not allowed? Crime syndicate? Are we the syndicate? I know we were the cabal. So for a long time we were the cabal, but now can we be a syndicate? I think I like the way that sounds. Crime syndicate. We need some Rattle merch. That's what we need. I will Rattle, if you are out there, you're listening to this, and you make some Rattle merch for some Rattle crime syndicate, or whatever the exact terminology was used. Crime. I can't remember the exact name that was used. But if you make shirts that says we're part of that, I'll back you, bud. Let's see. I see Basic Trainer in the chat. Basic Trainer, good to see you, buddy. Basic Trainer, my man could do lives like nobody else. And I'm going to tell you what. We got to see the Dan Ketchmall Collectibles lives talking about Metazoo. The one thing we are now missing is we haven't seen a Basic Trainer Metazoo breakdown live yet. Basic, I need you one-on-one talking to the camera, the same thing I'm doing right now. I need to hear your unfiltered takes on Metazoo. Shout out to Mason Cardinal Gaming. Mason had a really, really good unfiltered take on Metazoo, pretty much saying like from the beginning of the end, all the things that Metazoo did wrong from the standpoint of a local LGS. And one of the things Mason talks about more than anything else in that is, while Metazoo seemed to be for the player because they had these big prize pools and stuff, even though they didn't pay the last people, but it doesn't matter. Like, there was always like an illusion that Metazoo was this playable game. But then when you listen to Mason and you actually think about it, it's like, if you're truly a playable game, what should be your sole intention? Well, you want to get the cards in the hands of players. And Mason did a great video just ripping apart Metazoo, saying that was not really their business strategy. Their business strategy always seemed to be looking in a million directions except that area, which was the local LGS. And, they were given good deals to like the partnership program and stuff, but it kind of like given a snub to the LGSs and then really focusing on the relationships with the big box retail, your Targets and your Walmarts. And at the end of the day, you're not going to get that player base from your Walmarts and Targets. That player base is going to be built by your local LGSs, the ones actually putting together this organized play. And Mason did a great job like breaking that down and talking about like the downfalls of Metazoo and how it wasn't like one thing, it wasn't two things. It was a multiple like things that they did in order to help kill that game. And I hope that one day somebody could really make a great video talking about like the entire life of Metazoo from beginning to end and really start to break down all the failures that they had in between, because I think it will make a great case study for a lot of people. Because it was. I mean, if you take anything out of what Metazoo was, like the success to the failure, it's a great case study. Uh, so Dama said, hope this goes well for Rattle. Can't see how this wouldn't legally unless Canada is a bit different from the U.S. in terms of legality. Yeah, I know zero about the Canadian legal structure, so... Fresh Chat said Pokejoo was the elephant in the room. I think it was in the lawsuit. It didn't make any sense because you don't have to poll a lot of people in this hobby right now. Be like, do you know who the Pokejoo is? Most people are going to say yes. His first name is Michael. So it was just a real weird take to pretend like you were like it was like an anti-Semitic mark, but it wasn't. I that was the one thing that really bothered me. Uh, so June Does Stuff says, hopefully they're able to go through the minutia of the hobby with Rattle, because otherwise it might be hard for legal teams to understand what's going on in the hobby. I didn't even think about that. You imagine trying to find a lawyer and just, he goes, okay, tell me what happened. And then you're like, okay, sit down. Let me explain to you, like, all, card trimming and stuff. You would have to, ideally you find I mean, there's only one attorney. I don't even think he does like this type of attorney. You gotta get a guy like Milo Pokemon who you don't really have to do a lot of explaining to him. He would instantly be able to understand the nuances of the hobby, which another great video to watch. If you've made it to the 28-minute mark of this video and you haven't tuned off to watch the Rattle video, I'm going to also link down in the description of this video a link to Mile High Pokemon's most recent video. So he put a great video out. So a lot of people put, what are the 10 best investments you can do in Pokemon? So Mile High Pokemon took a little different spin on that video, and he made, what are the 10 worst investments you can do in Pokemon? And it's pretty funny. Like, he's got a good sense of humor too, and he just like goes through like, these are all the things you should do. Or no, it's like, instead of top 10 ways to make money, it was top 10 ways to lose money. So he tells you like all the best ways to lose money, and it's a pretty good video. It's pretty funny. Let's see. Let's see. So Tyler one says, Rattle still hasn't done a video on Adrian scamming someone and then that person having to go to court to sue him to get his stuff back. I don't know which video you're talking about, but yeah, I'm not sure. Mason Berry said Leonhardt's a lawyer. Oh, wait. I think Leonhardt is saving his time just for old CTR. CTR needs a lawyer. It'll be Leonhardt. Oh, that's when CTR enters the chat. No, I'm joking. Uh, uh, so Alex says, Rattle is a man. He's just telling the truth out here, man. When did the truth start to be the wrong thing? I believe Rattle. Everything Rattle says he believes is the truth. And if the problem is I wish we could hear both sides of it too, you know? And even if Rattle's right or wrong, I love a good debate. Like, I just want to see that debate. You know, there's some people out there say they want debates for some stuff, and then they say, "Oh, I'll have anybody on my channel at any time." I offer to go on that person's channel, and then they go, "Okay, I'll have a debate with anybody, with the exception of the person that wants to have a debate on my channel." There's people out there like that. Uh, Tom B said, "There's no shot it's legit. You think they typed it up on Chat GPT?" I don't agree with that. Uh, Honky Pokemon said crime and then in parentheses community. Oh, are we the crime community? Is that what the Rattle Discord was? The Rattle Mafia, huh? Uh, so Sphere David says, I even found out that if I'm an American decides to sue a Canadian in a Canadian court of law, he is given Canadian citizenship and rights for the time of the lawsuit. Is that true? I see. You could be trolling me to say, like, if you sue somebody in a Canadian court of law, you're given Canadian citizenships and rights just for the time of the lawsuit, and like maybe you lose it after, lose it before. But I don't even know. Like that sounds like a Canadian law. It doesn't sound out of the realm of possible. Uh, wow. So Justin with the big brain said, "What if this is all planned out to bring more attention to the hobby? Again, either way, benefits with new people seeing this and coming into the hobby. Interesting." Uh, Pokemon Breeder Max says, "LL. Anytime something happens in this TCG sphere, it's always about some crazy reverse psychology." Yeah, it's just like Metazoo. Metazoo totally destroyed their name. Probably gonna file for bankruptcy. People hear that and they're like, "That's Metazoo's big brain way of like getting people to FOMO back into Metazoo and secretly sell themselves a Bandai." And I don't even whatever the other ways people spun that crazy narrative. Reading like random 4chan forums and stuff where people were just kind of like just it was like me on 4chan just like typing up something stupid and people going with it like this is the truth. uh let's see. Local Loads Collection says, what's funny is grading companies don't even care about Rattle, yet this dude does. Logan Paul, same thing, doesn't care. Not true. Logan Paul definitely did care. Logan Paul reached out a few times. uh So Pokey Hoarder said, "Hey PK, a while ago you mentioned if you wanted distribution, now's probably a good time to apply. I took that as a challenge, applied, and got accepted. LOL. So thank you for that video." Pokey Hoarder, man, congrats. I know it's not the best time, but like if you want to get distribution and you were able to do it, I mean, start to build up your allocation slowly. Hopefully, distribution doesn't make you take a lot of the shitty products. Hopefully, they let you be a little picky and choosy and take what you want. And now, hey, if you believe in the longevity of Pokemon, which I do, and you believe in like the inevitable future, which is probably right around the corner, where we're gonna get another like hype set. Example being like a 151, or even rewind a little bit before that, going to Evolving Skies. Like every couple of years, you get that big set that is that hot set right at the release, and then keeps going up, and people are just FOMOing into that, and they keep wanting it. Now, if you're able to build distribution, you're able to get like decent allocations of the products you want, and you're able to get stuff like 151, which is a very liquid set, and you could, move through a lot of that product, still have margins, which I know a lot of modern product doesn't have margins, but then be able to burn through a lot of that stuff, slowly build up your allocations till in the future, if you again do believe in the longevity of Pokemon in the future of Pokemon, until maybe we do go through another boom or even a mini boom or anything like that. So now you'll be positioned in a great place. So, hey man, Poke Hoarder, congrats on the distribution. I think that's pretty awesome. Uh, let's see. So, Ori said, finally caught PK live. Heck yeah. Any thoughts on the situation with Rattle? Yeah, I've just been talking about that for the last 30 minutes. So if you want to go back and watch that video, you're going to hear a lot of my thoughts. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being a spectator for it. I think we're going to get a lot of videos. I think a topic that was probably, to be honest with you, like, I'll let you know a secret. It was like kind of coming to an end in a way. Maybe it wasn't going to come completely to an end, but this just kind of reinvigorates it, lights that fire. And I'm telling you, I promise you, you heard it here first. This is just the start of this. This information will get picked up by a bigger PokeTuber. Or not, excuse me, not a bigger PokeTuber, a bigger YouTuber. There will be people talking about this the same way as they're talking about the Carl's Jobs and Billy Mitchell stuff. I'm telling you, right now, you heard it here first. You could already see some of the channels Rattle's been on as a special guest, especially when you remember, like, with all the Liquid Marketplace stuff, there's some big PokeTubers that took that story. There's going to be some probably big PokeTubers that are going to take this story and run with it too. Sorry, I keep saying PokeTubers, YouTubers. And hey, if it brings a lot of attention to the hobby, so be it. I think it'll be interesting for a lot of people because I could see how this story could bring a lot of attention to the hobby because they'll be like, wait, how much was all this product sold for? And then allegedly they cut up what sheet, a Topps what sheet, and they sold it for how much money, and then, like all the different, card altering, and people start to see the dollar amounts. And I think the dollar amounts, sadly, are the first thing that really, like, catches people's eyes because they're like, wait, people are still into Pokemon until eventually, they dive down the rabbit hole. Maybe they just dip their toe in at first, but then eventually, next thing you know, they're doing, a high dive off the diving board, and that's just the way it is. But yeah, guys, listen, appreciate every single one of you. I can't believe I got right now 108 people tuned in for this. Wild. But yeah, I'll be back soon. I just want to talk about some stuff. I didn't even really get to talk about the actual topic of this video. It was just the copacetic nature of the Pokemon hobby, which right now everything's not really going crazy. Nothing's just going wild. I want to still... you know what? I haven't even got to the point because I just got over being sick. I still want to talk about the Netherlands releasing the like Pikachu Van Gogh promos. 100,000 promos are going to potentially be hitting the market. They were just going to be local, like, mom and pop LGSs, but now it looks like it's going to be like big brick and mortar, like, like Walmart, Target, S-type stuff, like big box retail are potentially going to get these promos. And again, Pokebeach released a speculative number of 100,000 of these promos. I haven't even had a chance to fucking talk about this yet. This is... I'm going to have to go live tomorrow. There's too many... I got a lot of little topics I want to talk about. That's one of them. There's a lot of craziness going on. I still want to talk about Pokemon Center ETBs. Like, I want to talk about Paldean Fates. Talk about... we had decent restocks right when it was released. It went off. Is this going to kind of be the path now for these specialty sets where it's going to be Pokemon Center ETBs or bust, and then the ETBs for the Pokemon Center are only going to be the only things carrying value for these for the long term? Or are we going to see more reprints come in a couple weeks or months from now, very similar to what we saw happen with Obsidian Flames? Obsidian Flames is still a good Pokemon Center ETB, and then it's just... is that all we're going to be focusing on Specialty Center? Listen, there's a lot of thoughts going around in my head right now that I haven't even been able to make freaking videos about. I'm going to probably have to go live tomorrow because I already went 39 minutes talking about kind of the Rattle situation. I'll have to bring out... yes, shout out to Fresh Tat, says I'll have to bring out my PK in the gray felt hat. Bring out that. Put that back on. Alright, guys. As always, appreciate every single one of you. And I'll catch you on the next video. Link to the Rattle video in the description. Also link to that Mile High Pokemon video. I recommend you guys checking that out too. Great video.